Now that we've completed example 1, let's proceed with example 2. Boys and girls, this one is a little bit different because here we're actually going to have 2 parts to our numerical expression. This may remind you, as we're doing this, of the order of operations, because certainly knowing that order of operations is going to help us with example 2 and similar expressions. So the strategy here, guys, is going to be, we're going to separate this into 2 parts. We're going to write a numerical expression for each of the parts. You'll notice step 1 is just the same. The first thing I'm going to do is get my scribble feature ready. Click on our line. If you need to go back to the scribble, you can select the line and go back to scribble. But if you see the scribble right here, then you know it's defaulted to scribble. Hopefully it still is from that example 1. But I'm clicking my scribble, and I'm going to be ready to underline my keywords first as I read the problem in the rectangle. The problem in this rectangle says, subtract 3 from 12, then multiply by 4. Sure enough, I see 2 keywords, and they actually say the name of the operation, which makes it nice and simple to know that I should subtract, or I should underline the word subtract. And indeed, subtract points to subtraction. So there's my operation. And, it looks like it didn't draw my subtract line. I'm going to do it again. Notice if that ever happens to you, just click that scribble again. It may be because it's so close to that underlined word. So I'm going to come up here and do it again. It's not wanting to work for me. Sometimes technology just doesn't quite act right. If this ever happens to you, again, don't stress. Let's problem solve. First thing I can do is click that scribble feature again and draw a little bit longer of a subtraction line. That may be the issue. It's still not wanting to work, so I'm going to click scribble again. And now I'm going to scribble my subtraction line over here. Still not wanting to work. Since it is just a straight subtraction line, I can go to the line feature instead. So that one worked. When technology doesn't act right, just take a deep breath and think to yourself, how can I problem solve? And sure enough, we did just that. Okay, so we underlined the word subtract, and we wrote the subtraction symbol. Now I'm going to come over here and underline the word multiply, because sure enough, that's a keyword that points to multiplication. I'm going to go back and try out my scribble again. And I want to draw a multiplication symbol because this points to the operation multiplication. Okay, so here we have underlined subtract, we have underlined multiply, and we have drawn the operation symbols above it that they point to. That was the very first thing that I was to do. The next thing that I'm to do is to circle the numbers. So I'm still on that scribble feature. I'm going to subtract the number 3, I'm going to circle the number 3. I'm going to circle the number 12. And lastly, I'm going to circle the number 4. Okay, so now it's almost like I have 3, 12, 4, subtraction, multiplication. It's almost like I have those 5 things on a Post-it note. And now I'm trying to decide how to pair those together to translate this into numbers and operations. Well, my step 2 tells me that the comma separates the problem into 2 parts. Let's write a numerical expression for both parts. My first part was to subtract 3 from 12. That makes it very clear that I'm going to have 12 and I'm going to lose 3. There we go. I have written a numerical expression for my first part. Now I'm going to write a numerical expression for this part. Then multiply by 4. Well, here I'm going to multiply by 4. All right. I have paired those numbers and keywords for my first part and created this expression. I've paired my numbers and operations for my second part, and I've created this expression. So now I'm going to combine the parts. This is where I ask myself, what am I going to do first in this problem? Well, the comma helps to give away or tell me which part to do first. It broke my problem into 2 parts. Notice from that, I can see what I need to do first is my subtraction. The parentheses say do me first. So I'm going to put that 12 minus 4 in parentheses because that says do me first. And sure enough, in my expression, I'm to do that first. Then, so that tells me that transition word says that this should be done second. Then I'm going to multiply by 4. Okay, so does this create a solution? If I put this down below, let me double check. 12 minus 3 in parentheses. Does that match this? Subtract 3 from 12? Yes. The next part says then multiply by 4. Does this show multiplication being done second and then multiplying by 4? Indeed, it does. So that is the solution to slide 5. This example, boys and girls, is a 2-part numerical expression, but we've solved that by following those easy steps.